You are listening to the MSPoweruser podcast. This is episode 47, recorded Thursday, May 11th. Each week on the podcast, we discuss the latest news about Microsoft. This week, we're digging into what you probably would have guessed, Build 2017. This is Microsoft's, I would say it's their biggest event of the year. It's focused on developers, at least officially, but they always have some good consumer stuff there. There were two different keynote events. The first one people tried to stay awake for, and the second one was substantially better, at least from a consumer side. We're going to talk all about that stuff, probably lean a little bit more towards the consumer side. My name is Vernon E.L. Smith, and I'm joined, as usual, by Andy Bennett. What's up, bud?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. It is almost Mother's Day. And a reminder, folks, that Mother's Day is nearly upon us. And I had to go out of my comfort zone, out of my personality, out of everything that felt logical, and do things that really made no sense to me. But hopefully my mother is happy. Hopefully my wife is happy. And then I can get on with the rest of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a pretty eventful week here, at least. I mean, we've been we got some new furniture brought in, so completely new couch in there, which is really, really nice, especially since the old one was just there way too long. So, pretty good week all in all for me.
Good. Nice. Well, let's jump into it. Let's first of all, let's talk about talk about the top 5. Folks, go to the site. Please go to the site. There is tons of awesome content. We had an editor that was there, took some good picks, had a lot of great information. We had the inside scoop on a lot of these things because we had a pre-briefing that was under embargo. So we really did get a lot of good details about this before they were announced, and also once they were announced, there were a lot of little breakout sessions, things like that, where people had a good opportunity to learn a lot of things. This is fantastic. We got a lot of good content there. Go to the site, and you can listen to our lovely voices. Let's start with the top 5. Andy, what do you want to start with? Which one?
I think we'll get started with get started at the start with the very first announcement really being here from day 2. Day 1 again was mostly, almost all entirely developer focused stuff, but day 2 is what we as consumers care about, so we're kind of focusing on that here. The big announcement from day 2 was that the next Windows 10 update, the successor to the Windows 10 Creators Update, is the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. That's creative.
Goatee stroke. Actually, no, more like chin scratch. Head scratch? Head bash. Yeah, head pounded into the wall. How about that? What? Like,
yeah, I don't get it. My brain is still failing to comprehend this. I mean, let's say that there's some people out there who, like, Microsoft flat out says your PC's ready to get the Creators Update when it's ready to get the Creators Update, don't they? Like, they get the pop-up that comes up that's, like, basically the Get Windows 10 app repurposed. And, like, let's say that some people read that and they actually know what the Creators Update is. They know it's that big Windows 10 update that took an hour to install, and they kind of added a couple things. Some stuff got changed. Looks a little different here and there. They know that name. So, let's just say in a theoretical future, we're going to ask someone, do you have the Fall Creators Update on your computer? Because if not, this won't work. And they'll go, oh, I've got the Creators Update.
Mm-hmm.
It really feels like Microsoft hired the guy who named the Nintendo DS and 3DS line of systems, because this is going to be just as confusing.
Yeah. Also, this is apparently named for only half the world, because south of the equator, it's not going to be fall when this comes out. It's going to be spring. Come on. Like, and in most of the world, a large portion of the world does not consider the third season of the year to be fall. They consider it to be autumn. Good gravy, Microsoft. Obviously, we are big fans of Microsoft. We love tons of the things they do. I'm a fan. That's okay. But is this the best name? Like, who who greenlit this? Who was sitting in that boardroom saying, that's your idea? I love it. Let's use it.
My favorite thing of all time, really, is how, like, after each Windows update name, like, I mean, originally there was just the November update, that was the first big Windows 10 update, and everyone was like, okay, that's fine. It's the November update. It's November. That makes sense. Then the anniversary update happened, and it was like, okay, this sounds kind of dumb, but it's been a year since release, even though it's kind of coming late. So it's a really late celebration of an anniversary, which is super stupid, but regardless, okay, that kind of works, but they can't do much worse than this, though. Then the creators update comes along, you see people shouting, this cannot get any worse, this is the dumbest name I have ever seen. Then, the fall creators update comes along for a second helping of all the fun.
They really could have called it Q1 2018, because that is what it is for Microsoft, because everyone else is not going to understand. Like, I don't know. I'll just stop.
Well, like, that's an unmarketable name. I mean, I personally believe it would be great if they just called it the November 2000 whatever update. That'd be fine to me, but that's not a marketable name. They need a marketable name for this stuff to work out. I mean, personally, I would have just revived the name Service Pack and be done with it, because while that is kind of boring, it's something you can market easily, and people can remember that a bit more than a date. When they say, oh, is it Service Pack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? I mean, that can be kind of understandable, I think. I mean, it's easy to comprehend. The name Service Pack, I don't think that's really used in too many places. I mean, I think Windows was like the only thing to use that when it comes to tech, maybe. So, like, that's something they could have, but no, they have to have a fun name for maximum marketability, minimum sensibility.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's really just a name at the end of the day, but, like, it's a really stupid name that is going to make some family tech support conversations harder once again.
Yeah, and I think the worst part is that it's just really easy to poke fun at. It's really easy for people who don't like Microsoft to say, "Wow, they're stupid." Now, we know that people working at Microsoft are not stupid. Even the person, whoever greenlit this, they're certainly not stupid. Okay. But it just really feels like a poor choice. It's just like how, I don't know. On Twitter, I said something like, they're calling it the Fall Creators Update because they want people to become good at creativity so that they can work for Microsoft and come up with a better name for the next update. Like,
yeah, that's probably the best tweet I've seen all day, by the way.
Okay.
I mean, that was a good one. But another personal favorite, I think it was Brad Sams who said it, was it's called the Fall Creators Update because all the features here fell out of the original Creators Update.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna get all crabby if we dwell on this. What do we have next here? We have.
Let's see.
Oh well, Microsoft Fluent design system.
Oh look, another name we can complain about. Let's go. That's 7 more minutes. Let's go.
All right. So first of all, we know about Project Neon. Actually, it was our site that was able to break this news, like half a year ago or something.
Yeah, it was early on in the year, like February or so.
Oh, okay.
That we had
it was this year? Okay.
Yeah, it was this year. But like February was 3 months ago now.
I was thinking it was in November, but yeah, either way, we found that the new design language, or MDL or MDL2, Microsoft Design Language 2, was migrating. Yeah.
MDL2 is the current one. Project Neon was the next step.
Yeah,
just for maximum clarity for any listeners out there.
Yeah, correct. Thank you though. But yeah, we were at MDL2. We were moving to the next thing, which had like acrylic in it. It was a little bit like Longhorn, actually, where you have blurred backgrounds and things like that. We know about this. We talk about it frequently. Andy's we're well versed on this. And we see aspects of that in Groove. We starting to see it. Where else did we start to see it? If you had
every
the Creators
single app.
In Creators Update though.
Yeah, Creators Update, it was rolling out bit by bit. Like I believe it was the Photos app that got it. I think on Stable. I know that it was the.
Well, I've used the Photos
movies
app.
On TV.
Oh, yep.
Groove.
I've used the Photos app a lot lately on All right, this is probably good a time as any. I really like the Photos app, and mostly because I'm not very good at photography. And so when I take pictures, photography pictures, and I view it in Photos, I can edit right there. I really, really do like it. Shift the contrast. I can do auto red eye reduction, and even some very minor, what you would call photoshopping, lowercase p, but like just fixing little things that need to be fixed. And then, shift the color, add the, modify the contrast, whatever. You can do that right in the Photos app. I'm really, really happy with it. I don't actually see much of neon in there. But nevertheless, it's coming to more and more apps, especially if you're on the fast ring, or I think, remember there was an issue where you'd have to go back to slow ring to get the app updates and then go to fast ring.
Most of them are coming through fast ring now. Yeah, and fast ring has like neon everything. I mean, even the calculator has neon on the fast ring, which is just great. I mean, it's the best looking calculator app I have ever seen.
Sweet.
Which I said that about the original Windows 10 calculator as well. But like, this is really good looking. I mean, Microsoft is a company that puts a lot of attention and detail into their calculators. Make of that what you will.
All right, so tell us anything more about this before I finish off. What do you like about... Well, okay, Project Neon was a code name, which is officially called Microsoft Fluent, or Fluent Design System. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of fits in with the previous name structure. I mean, we had Modern Design Language, and that was MDL. Then there was Modern Design Language 2, MDL2. Well, now it's MFDS, which is, I mean, sounds the same. Sounds similar enough.
Roll off the tongue.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue, but I mean, like, it's close enough, I guess. I mean, they're not going to go calling it something insanely fancy anymore, I guess. I don't know. But regardless, I mean, it's just a name, and it's whatever name. I mean, I personally preferred Project Neon, of course, but it's not like it even matters here. I mean, Fluent Design, okay, whatever. I don't see any reason to complain.
Now, that's actually a little bit like Fluid Design, which in many ways, the Fluent design system is very fluid. There's a lot of animations, a lot of movement, motion. We can actually get into the details. I think I like how they detailed many of these things. So first of all, you have, the 5 main concepts of Microsoft Fluent design system be light, shadows and things like that. Depth, they show many, many things in 3D. There's motion, and that would be your animations as things move in and out of view and everything. Material, which is interesting to me, but it basically shows how if something appears to be plastic
I can actually explain material.
Yeah, go ahead.
Material is referring to what's called acrylic, and that would be the blurred areas and stuff with Project Neon. So like if you open up, say, Groove Music right now, and you look at the sidebar and you see that it's really blurring the stuff behind it, you'll see this kind of frosted glass effect on it. That's called acrylic, and that's a material.
See, to me, I would just call it translucent, because that's exactly what it is, or opaque. I mean, both those things describe it much better.
Names for a variety of stuff within Fluent Design. Boy, I gotta get used to saying that. But like for example, the hover effect on items, like, again, open up Groove on the Insider builds. I don't think this has gone out to normal people yet.
But that would be more like depth, actually.
As you see that would count as depth, I guess. Yeah, but like as you hover on sidebar items in that latest version of Groove on the fast ring, you'll see that there's this light that follows you, which that actually would be the first point, I guess. Maybe both, whatever. That is called reveal. And they have various code names for just different elements of what is formerly known as Project Neon. I still got to get used to the new name, and I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah. Well, I've been really... the last thing of the 5 is scale. They want to show scale. They want to help it feel... as you feel depth and, of course, scale, size.
Yeah. And that's going to be most important, really, I think, when they get to Windows Holographic.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Because this is a design language that was pretty much built around holographic. There were two areas, really. There was, of course, the constant cries for the return of Aero Glass on the desktop, which that wasn't going to happen in its old traditional form. And then, of course, as those cries are being heard, Microsoft is working on a completely new platform that needs a completely new user interface built for it, and of course built for UWP to adapt to it. So how do we tie it all together? Well, we're going to go with the new design language. And so this was basically built for Windows Holographic, and you can already see a bunch of the base. You could see some of the bases of some of the ideas they were going with, the way things would just generally look and feel. You could see that there for a while. And just, it is going to be real interesting to see this as time goes on, especially as Windows mixed reality might potentially take off. But anyways, this is going to have big effects on all of Microsoft's platforms, although, actually, yeah, it is even going to affect Windows Mobile. I mean, the reveal effect is already showing up on Groove there. It's certainly going to affect Xbox One. They even showed a couple of pictures of that, such as the reveal effect and blur effects in Groove on the Xbox One, which you can check out a picture of that on the site, I believe, and it looks really nice. And yeah, it's going to affect desktop, of course. That's the platform where most of people are going to see these changes, and it's going to be radically different. However, it is worth noting something. These designs, while they are radically different, and so every single one of the things you see right now is a mock-up, except with the exception of a few apps. Like there's stuff like that they showed off, again, Groove on the Xbox One. I am pretty sure that that is an actual app running on the Xbox One. You look at stuff like, they also showed Outlook mail and calendar apps with Fluent design. That one was posted up on our Twitter account. And that one, I am pretty sure, is also an actual real running app. It looks like one for sure. It doesn't have any of the general signs that says it's a mock-up. I mean, there is a little weird looking search box, but I legitimately believe it is all an actual. Actually, it is, because as I look at it, there's even a build tag in there. So yeah, it's not a mock-up. Not everything they showed that was a mock-up, but as a general rule, if something is a crazy, radical departure from the current design, it is a mock-up that was presented to the company.
That one in particular, Andy, you want to share that one with me? I didn't. If you have that in front of you, share that with me.
Yes, I do. I will send it over to you. It looks fairly similar to the current mail and calendar app. It's not the biggest change in the world, which is why I believe this one's an actual running app as opposed to just a mock-up. But I mean, just to finish up there, there's a lot of, and this applies to stuff down the road as well. There are a lot of concepts submitted to Microsoft internally every single day. That, as of course, they have plenty of designers working around the clock, trying to shape the company's future and design. So there's going to be a lot of inconsistencies in some of these designs. They're going to display radically different ideas, many of which may not show up in the final product. But many of the core ideas, such as sticky headers in the store, will be there. So, like, if as you look at this one in the, the top 5 things announced at Microsoft Build 2017, if you look in there in the article and it shows an image of a radically different store that I think would be kind of hard to implement, and you'll look around, you'll see stuff that's like kind of like little ha-has from the guy who was making the mock-up, like the date is April 20th and the time is 4:20 p.m. and the clock looks like nothing you've ever seen in Windows before. It's just a simple little thing. And you see all the icons at the bottom on the taskbar are white. They look kind of different in some places. That's because it's just a mock-up. Microsoft's mock-ups are more focused on showing the company ideas than being 100% consistent and exactly accurate with what's going to end up in Windows itself. I mean, we also saw this with the initial Project Neon mock-ups we leaked out, where there were gigantic margins around the windows. That stuff is just kind of little mock-up things. It's not going to make it into the final product. Nothing here is going to look 1:1. Most of it is not going to look like some of this stuff at all, but you're going to see many of these ideas end up in apps.
All right, so looking at the image that you sent to me, that looks like Mail app. That's not Outlook. That's okay.
My bad.
That's okay. It's definitely Mail. If I was concerned if this was
I think I was
Outlook,
just reading the tweet off. I think I was just reading the tweet off where it said it.
It's okay. It's okay. I am the one.
Yeah, I read Outlook Mail and Calendar from the tweet itself, which isn't it actually still called that on Windows 10 Mobile? In the store, at the very least.
It's called that in mobile, and that's okay. But on the desktop, it's Mail. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on this, but I was really concerned that they were going to F up Outlook, and whatever. Mail app, it actually doesn't look that much different, which is fine with me. It does show.
Yeah, like I said, it's subtle changes which make me think it's an actual thing that we might see.
Okay. The other part of it too. Let me just rant. Come on, people. Like, why do we need extra stuff in there? Why do we need whatever? When I'm in an app, why on earth do I care about what's behind that app? Truly, like, I don't care at all. I don't care about the colors bleeding in. I don't care about extra frilly basically blurred stuff on the side. I don't care. It's actually in the way. It literally takes up pixels that I don't need. It also, the name is stupid, but that's fine. That's not a big deal. But what is wrong with Metro? Okay, this is an old argument. I get it. This is like 10-year-old, well, like a 5-year-old argument. Probably more than that. That Metro made sense. It was clean. Didn't take up a lot of resources, which, I mean, modern PCs can handle this kind of thing. And it is worth noting, Pradeep confirmed this, that when there is less power available, whether the processor or the battery, that it will trim back, it'll dumb down some of those animations, there's value there. I like that. I want to toggle for that. I want to be able to shut some of this stuff off.
There's a toggle on that already.
Okay.
Even in the creators update, you go under settings, I believe it's settings, colors, scroll down to more options, you turn transparency effects to off. Keeping in mind this was originally slated for the creators update. Original, not fall creators update. We have to differentiate that now.
FCU versus CU.
But you get the idea.
Yeah. But to me, it's a beautiful design language. And I see beauty as in being efficient. Modern, and especially Metro, was efficient. It didn't take up, it wasn't wasteful.
Windows 8 Metro was eye candy that was perfect on tablets, dumb on desktops. Windows 10's take on Metro, MDL2, is something that occasionally works. I mean, you look at, like, the weather app, and the weather app's perfectly fine. I see no issue with it.
But it's still pretty modern. There's not a lot of aspects of acrylic in there.
There's no need for, like, acrylic doesn't have to be there for every app, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like, the weather app looked fine. And there was no issue but the weather app was a standout. The MSN apps really were standouts. Then you look at stuff like, you don't open up the Xbox app, but if you do, it kind of represents every single thing that needed to change. And Fluent design, it isn't just acrylic and blur. That's a side thing, and that thing isn't necessarily the most difficult thing in the world to implement. I don't think they're necessary. This stuff's been, the internals of this have been in there for a while. It's going to be completely fine, I believe. But, like, it's bringing UI changes with it that are needed. You can't just rely on that hamburger forever. If you open up the Photos app and you see that...
Let me make it clear, though. MDL2, as I understand it, is that hamburger menu. Original Metro did not have that crap in it. It had the ellipses menu on the bottom, right where your freaking thumb...
Yeah, that was original Metro. MDL2 was hamburger, and MDL2 is honestly... There are instances where it works perfectly fine, like the weather app, but it does not work with every app. There is no one-size-fits-all here. And to be quite honest with you, most of the color choices used, like all the grays and silvers and whites in a bunch of apps, are really, really ugly looking.
Yep.
I think weather looks good because it's got a nice dark gray there, and then you've got some blues around there. It's got some actual life and color in that. But you compare that with, not really the Settings app now. The Settings app now, they kind of made it look much nicer, but the Settings app back with, boy, I think maybe Threshold. That kind of summed up everything I hated and still hate to this day with MDL2, because it's just all these boring grays, and this kind of stops that from happening. It just looked boring and dull, just like this kind of dull corporate thing. Which,
I'm okay with that. I just need it to be clean. I just need, okay, there's my information. I don't have extra fluff in there. That's just me. I get it. And okay, someone made the analogy, well, design language has changed just like fashion. Okay, look at fashion. Look how stupid some of this crap is. Look at jeans. Really quickly, look at jeans, okay? We go from straight leg to skinny jeans to boot cut, back to straight leg, back to boot cut. I mean, and skinny jeans are still in there all along. What is wrong? Like, I've been wearing boot cut I'm going to say, it's kind of funny. I'm going to talk over you. I have been wearing boot cut for 20 years, and I am fine. Make fun of me if you wish. I will freaking post pictures of me wearing boot cut if that's important to people. They fit my boots. They fit my pants. They fit my body. I don't have to change them when the new style comes around, and they go over my boots, which is exactly what I want. Boom. That makes sense. That works. And as far as fashion, they come back in style. So I feel we're going to see Metro come back in style. It's so silly. Oh. I'm done. Sorry.
Okay. Well, the thing is, Metro was already kind of a coming back in style, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Because if you probably don't know about this, but there was a scrapped Windows version prior to Longhorn, which was Neptune, and that kind of evolved into Whistler, which was the code name for Windows XP. Well, anyways, early Whistler and the only Neptune build that leaked out featured a lot of elements that would show up in Windows 8. Like the Whistler watercolor theme was this really flat, modern-looking theme that looked way better than the Fisher-Price crap we got with the final release of XP.
Yeah.
And it's like, it all looked like this big precursor of Metro, and then you find out that the people who designed Metro didn't even know that some of this stuff existed, so it was just a big coincidence. But regardless, it was kind of this coming back in style of all these scrapped Microsoft ideas.
So remember,
so the cycle still does apply to designs. I mean, we're going to head into this area with boy, I keep going to say either neon or acrylic. We're going to come back with Fluent. Is it Fluid? No, Fluent.
Exactly.
Dang it!
It's tough.
Yes, but like with Fluent design, we're going to head back into the blur area, which Mac OS and iOS have been doing fairly well for a while now.
So why is Microsoft copying Mac OS on this? How are they leading the way?
Because, actually, this is another section where it comes back into the style cycle. Windows Vista had all of its fancy effects because Windows XP users wanted the Mac OS 3D effects at the time, so we got Aeroglass. And so now, iOS and macOS both have these really nice blurs that take in the colors, and more on iOS than macOS, but iOS looking really nice with all this blur showing off how it can be done, and Windows users are sitting here like, okay, I want a slice of this pie. My computer is far more powerful than an iPhone. Why does it just look like a boring flat slab like Windows 98, which is an actual comments I've seen? And so that's more than just us here. It's a lot of people with differing opinions. There's some people who just want the same utilitarian stuff, but the majority of consumers want a nice-looking consumer thing. Microsoft has premium-looking hardware, and they also want premium-looking software to look nice in marketing pictures as well. That also is something to keep in mind. But like we have this cycle again of Mac has something nice-looking, Windows users want it, Microsoft puts it in there.
But that's the thing, is that Microsoft is following in that case. Microsoft led with Metro. Soon after that, there was a huge change with iOS. There was several years later. Android shifted to their what they called material design, which was very much like Metro anyway.
And the funny thing to me was that
the first part of it, the precursor was.
Yeah.
And then there were hamburger menus everywhere. Like that started in like 2011 or whatever with iOS and Android, especially Android. Then with Windows 10 Mobile, they went to hamburger menus as iOS and Android were phasing them out. Like, what are you doing? It's like a ring around, like a carousel, like what do you call it? Like we get on the horses that go up and down, and they're just chasing each other around and around.
Well, that's exactly how tech designs work. I mean, I
don't want to say
Metro
great artists
made
steal.
sense. I don't want to say great artists steal, but it's like great artists, in this case, great designers, they take a look at somebody else's work and they go, okay, how can I put my spin on this? This is a great base idea, but how can I improve this to meet our company's standards, our company's image? How can we just, not get left behind as they have some features we don't? How do we keep up with that? And additionally, this also would help in some instances, I imagine, with developers who are developing their apps for multiple platforms thinking, okay, what's my interface going to look like on platform XYZ? I want this to be as close as possible. So that's another element in there, potentially.
Yeah. We spent too much time on this. I could rant and rant, but...
It was like one of the biggest
It was a big deal,
event, so.
Except we all kind of saw it coming. We knew that. So, anyway. One of the other things that was coming... It is coming, was shown today. I don't think this was leaked as far as anyone that I am aware of. Something called Story Remix. That is supposed to be coming with the Fall Creators Update, the FCU. There will be people who will mix up some of those letters, and I get it.
I've already seen them.
Yeah. So this is basically going to let you create memories using photos and videos. Well, obviously you can have memories without them. But the app is going to... do a lot of the work for you, and it was an awesome demo. I typically hate software demos. I really feel like they're often, I don't want to say faked, but kind of staged. I feel that like blah blah blah, okay, whatever. I just want Outlook to have better rules, like that's me. I'm lame. But this really did pull me in. I was really excited about it. Not only did it worked well to remix or tie in your stills. Also, the video clips, you could tie them in together. A big aspect of it that they didn't elaborate on too much was that multiple people taking different shots, different clips or whatever, could combine it all together, apparently easily. We'll see. And then they could someone editing all this can mix and match or cherry pick and take the best shots. The question I had was, is this going to automatically adjust white balance or contrast based on the different devices and the different device settings taken on that? That could be a little bit of a wrinkle there. But Story Remix really did impress me. It was the big aspect of it, the big cool part was adding in 3D objects to photos and videos. And the demo was really, really good. Now, that doesn't mean that I can, once this is available, I can do it as well as the demonstrator could do. But I'm really, really impressed with this. And like I said on Twitter, I am not easily impressed by these. What did you think, Andy?
I think that this is going to be really, really interesting to see. I mean, like, I really want to play around with this app in its complete state. I don't think every single feature that was demoed is in the version that went out in today's Insider Build, which we will talk about a little bit later on. But this is a cool-looking app. I mean, yes, it's the Photos app technically, but this is basically the next. I don't want to say. I keep saying I don't want to say, but like, this is not Windows Movie Maker as we knew it. This is something completely different. It's a It's a video editor for sure. It's not Windows Movie Maker though. It's not named that. It's got nothing to do with that. It is totally its own thing, and it looks really interesting. One of the things I liked about Paint 3D and the 3D objects was the thought of, okay, how can I play with these and maybe make some cool wallpapers with that? That would be neat. And then this takes it to the next level. It goes with, okay, you want to make a wallpaper? How about you take this dragon here, this 3D model, maybe somebody else made it in the community, and you can take that model, and it's got some animations. So, and like even in the example picture they have here, they got presumably a video of the creator's son, and he's sitting there in a wizard costume with a wand, and then they took a 3D model of a dragon, they placed that in front of him, and then they got the option to animate that, and they can rotate that dragon as they wish to easily insert it on top of that video. That is just amazing. I'm not gonna lie here. This is definitely going to be a crazily fun thing to play around with, and they also showed off the ability to do light professional work with it, which looks like when it comes to Windows Movie Maker comparisons, it looks like it will be on par with that. So this should be a very, very interesting thing to see. And also going to the topic of leaks, we did have the name Belize, and there was also the name Evoke floating around. with stuff related to the Photos app potentially being renamed or rebranded. Well, it seems like it won't be, but it's going to be gaining a lot of features like this. And there is an update to the Photos app, which is heading out to some Windows insiders again in today's insider build, but not everybody is getting this. It seems to be going out very slowly. But yeah, this is maybe not the most revolutionary thing in the world to some people, but for the little normal person, and not little, but the normal person who doesn't really want to pay $20 a month for Adobe products, doesn't want to spend hundreds on some things, they don't have fancy video editing, they just want to edit a simple video of their kids, they want to have some fun with it, they want to share that on Facebook, maybe they're just someone with an incredibly small business or event they want to promote, or there's someone who doesn't have that much video editing skill. Even if they did so much as boot up Premiere Pro, they'd see all the options in the start and just have a heart attack. This is for them.
That was me.
Yeah, that was me too for a while, although Premiere Pro CS2 was still some of the best memories I've ever had as I learned that thing. But regardless, on the topic at hand, this is for the person who doesn't know how to get into this complicated video editing world. Again, and that was Windows Movie Maker for a lot of people as well, and still is. And people are still sharing the installers around. And this is for them, and it fills that Windows Movie Maker shaped hole in your heart, even if it isn't Windows Movie Maker and is going to be real different.
I just used Windows Movie Maker today, actually, for a video that I posted. I don't like it. I want this thing.
I can't use a single editor like the old Movie Maker at all. I mean, Vista Movie Maker was the last one I could use without wanting to vomit, but that's kind of beside the point now. But yeah, this is going to be fun, and it gives me way more hope for Microsoft's 3D offerings because, while I thought they were kind of a gimmick in Paint 3D, in here I can see them being used a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they got way more use in motion than just as stills. As stills, they're like, okay, maybe you'll put this in a poster. You'll probably want to put this in a wallpaper. Hey, that looks cool. On this, I can see this being used in a lot more stuff because, again, when something's in motion, it has way more functionality, way more it can be used for than just a still. Mm-hmm. And there we go, I guess.
Yeah.
On that subject.
I just think that it was probably, to some extent, inspired by Sway. Because Sway did a lot of, I would call it AI or even just whatever, thinking for you. You just put the stuff in there and it kind of makes it prettier.
That update brings in AI search as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I remember seeing Aaron Hall, who we had a guest on here once, like months and months ago. That was when I wasn't here. But regardless, Aaron Hall put up on Twitter, searching for the word house in the Photos app, and it got so many results, and it just goes through your pictures and scans them to tag them.
Very cool.
And it's I like that idea a lot. That's going to be real cool to see. In fact, I remember being wowed when Windows 10 itself came out, and when you searched with Cortana, I think it still does this, it would look through your OneDrive photos, and if your OneDrive photo, maybe it's a picture you took on your camera, it's got a random string for a name, no tags really that make any sense, but you wanted to find this sign that said, maybe this sign said the word, let's go with,
stop?
Yeah, stop sign. We need to find our stop sign pictures because we're going on a stop sign hunting extravaganza. Anyways, you just type the word stop, and it would look around in your OneDrive photos, and it would show you a picture that had the word stop in it.
Yeah, it was cool. I like the direction they're going with this. Next up is Windows Mixed Reality. Of course, think of it this way. Mixed reality is kind of the whole AR, VR, MR stuff. Okay, mixed reality is all that. Included in that is the true augmented reality of HoloLens, but it also is the VR stuff that, Acer and HP and those are making HMDs, head-mounted displays, for Microsoft's overall mixed reality experience. And today, I think the Acer HMD was already available, or at least announced. I didn't remember seeing anything from that.
It was already announced, but it wasn't for sale.
Yeah, and the HP one I did not see before, but I mean, nonetheless, they're available now. Not only do you get one of these for about $300, you also get the new controllers, which are called the, I'm looking for it here. I totally forgot what it's called. I actually don't see the name of the controllers in here, but they had one aspect of it. There's like a touchpad on there. There's a couple different trigger buttons. There's what they call the thumb stick.
Yeah. The name of the controller is generic. It's the Windows Mixed Reality Motion Controller.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
It's very inventive.
Yeah, great job. The motion controllers does have what's called a thumbstick, which I don't know how that's any different than a joystick, but maybe it doesn't provide as much joy. But it do look very cool, and you get 2 of these controllers when you get one of these HMDs. This is fantastic. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that the computer that runs this comes with it. I mean, this is something that is tethered and run off of, what you'd imagine, I'm certain, needs to be a relatively good PC. But I'm really excited for this, and I will actually see if my PC will handle this. And I'm quite tempted to drop $300 on this. Mostly, I don't know. I guess I'm just due for something else that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, this seems like a really cool thing, because virtual reality is very, very neat. I can't believe I'm saying very, very so much, but like, virtual reality is something that is, I mean, we've been talking about this stuff for like 5 years, not you and I specifically, but like, it's been in the news for half a decade now that the current VR boom has been going on with people experimenting with, from Oculus dev kits to the Vive. And it keeps on growing and growing, and we see mobile VR becoming a thing with Google's Daydream and Samsung's Gear VR, which was in partnership with Oculus. And those things are becoming bigger and bigger as time goes on. But the thing is, mobile platforms just don't have the horsepower needed for the best VR experience. The best VR experience would be had with a desktop, but desktop VR is not cheap. I mean, you look at the price of the Oculus Rift HTC Vive, that's about, each one's around $800 if memory serves. And then the motion controllers are even more. So to have a bundle with all that stuff in one package, the headset, the controller included, and also Windows Mixed Reality, I'm pretty sure has a lower than usual starting point for horsepower. I'm pretty sure you can tweak settings in that. But like, it's an entry level that can go up to incredibly high level if memory serves. So like, this is Microsoft making it easier for people to jump into virtual reality or even augmented reality once HoloLens starts heading out to consumers. Microsoft might have missed the big train when it came to mobile, but they are doing everything they can to make sure that they are one of the first to have the most affordable, the most reasonable to buy headsets and virtual reality stuff on the platform for consumers. And it isn't necessarily Microsoft making this stuff, no, but Windows Mixed Reality is still the back end. It is still Microsoft at the end, even if other companies are producing most of the hardware.
And I really like that, because that means that you got a larger, in general, you have a larger company that is doing the heavy work, and then you can allow other, OEMs, HP, Acer, for example, to make the hardware, to do to make them unique. And it's very similar to the PC model, obviously. And I really, really like this. That way you're consolidating this smart part, the stuff that really needs consolidation, and you're allowing diversity with the other more unique aspects, the things that are going to get people to actually buy it just because it looks cool. I should mention that at least a couple of these HMDs do have external cameras, which in fact could basically turn it into a MR, or what you call holographic, mixed reality, augmented reality, or mixed reality device. And that
depends on the quality of the camera, though. I played around with Gear VR a bit, and like, obviously it uses your phone's camera, which S7 camera is pretty good, but like, the delay between the camera and the screen is just too much to like walk around with that in reality. It's like you take 2 steps, you got like half a second delay, and it will just throw you off insanely. So they would have to get past that, and of course have a great quality camera as well, but that would definitely drive the price up, I think, if it was good enough quality for more than just snapping a couple pictures, maybe.
Well, actually, now that I think of it, perhaps having a poorer quality camera actually means you'll be able to move more through, better throughput.
The
Well,
way I could see a
I don't know.
usage scenario would be like have an app where you're like just, you can snap a photo in VR, then maybe you can use those motion controllers to paint over it. I don't know, but that's an idea
Yeah.
an app developer could use.
It could be that
And also,
simple.
speaking of those controllers, they are really interesting looking to me because, again, they got the thumbsticks, which the difference between a thumbstick and a joystick is really only a couple of letters. But these look like they're going to be very easy to use. They got a simple flat surface on the sticks. I see there's a Windows button on each controller,
I love
as
that.
well as as well as a button on the side on each. These look like they're going to be very fun to experiment with. And additionally, there is an Xbox One start button on there, which is the hamburger menu design. Which hilariously, the Xbox One hamburger menus, rather just that hamburger button design, even if it wasn't necessarily hamburger menus, that was on the Xbox One before any other Windows platform. Which is still so bizarre to me because it just matches up perfectly when you're using UWP apps and you just push that button to open the hamburger button or hamburger menu. I still find that amazing.
All right,
Yeah.
we do need to move on. Move from something that was quite exciting and new to something.
I want to handle this.
Let me intro it then. Something very, very, very less exciting, but probably equally
Microsoft's
as
letting
important.
malware into the Windows Store,
Exactly.
and its name is iTunes.
So iTunes and also some Linux stuff, which is cool, but iTunes is the big one. That's what consumers are going to pay attention to. iTunes is coming this fall, they said, as an app to the Windows Store. And of course, this is a huge response and it overcomes or knocks down a huge barrier to Windows 10s. This is important. Is it important to you, Andy?
Well, the most important thing about iTunes to me really is making sure that I always run it in a virtual machine so it touches nothing on my computer. So, I don't like iTunes. I don't think the UWP version of iTunes is going to make me like, not UWP, I'm sorry, Desktop Bridge version of iTunes is going to make me like iTunes. The only difference is that you can install it with a single click, and you won't have to deal with
uninstall it with 2 clicks.
Yeah, 2 clicks. You can install it with 2 clicks, and when you install it, it's not going to bring a bunch of update software with it, because obviously it'll update through the store. So that is nice. It makes it less crappy, but I don't think it's going to get rid of everything I dislike about it. Because to get rid of everything I dislike about iTunes would really be to get rid of Apple's current account system entirely, but that's a story for another day. We could probably have an entire episode where I just complain about Apple's account system for a solid hour. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Anyway, and I did say you could uninstall it with 2 clicks. You can install it with 1 click, but that's
install with 1 click, uninstall with 2.
Anyway,
That's the beauty of it. I could install it just to uninstall it and have that satisfaction of finally purging it from my machine.
All right, the last one in our top rundown, at least, is Cortana is getting skills. Now, unfortunately, I was actually dealing with a dirty diaper and probably some, spilled milk or something at the time. So I didn't really watch much of this, and I actually didn't get a chance to learn much about it afterwards. What did I miss?
Well, this was something that was actually at the day 1 event.
Yes.
Not the day 2. And so, Cortana skills, if you know about, let's say, the skills and stuff like Alexa, this is the same thing except with Cortana. And they're currently working with companies to get all sorts of integration into Cortana. Like, for example, partner companies such as Dark Sky, which is a popular weather application. Domino's Pizza, you can then go and ask Cortana to get some Domino's. OpenTable, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. This will be really cool, especially with, the Harman Kardon?
Yeah,
Cortana
Harman
speaker?
Kardon, the Invoke. Yep.
Yeah, the Invoke. This is where you're going to be using these things the most, although they will, of course, be available on any platform with Cortana, presumably, although focused on Windows 10.
And
it says they're already available on Android.
HP is making a all-in-one speaker, too.
Oh, that's going to be cool. I do have to wonder how long it'll be until we get the very first one with a screen, although that's not allowed by current guidelines. I think that they'll be able to work that in somewhere. All right, we are at the 15-minute mark, so I'm going to just do a couple quick things. Like, Microsoft has confirmed that Windows 10 on ARM will run x86 apps from outside the store, as it's not Windows 10s. I mean, maybe there will be a PC on ARM with Windows 10s down the line, but it's still going to have the normal Windows editions, presumably. They also did, do some more demos of Windows 10 on ARM, which were really cool looking. They explained some of the science of how it worked, showed it working, and it's really, really nice. Definitely worth checking out. And then, additionally, after all was said and done, they released a new insider build to the fast ring. This is build 16193 for PCs and build 15213 for mobile. And for checking out what's new for PCs, like we said, the story remix feature on the Photos app has arrived.
That is what actually made me go to fast ring on my Surface. I can't wait to check this out, to play around with it myself.
They've changed the name on Task Manager column for power throttling has gone from background moderated to power throttling. And you can now, this is a big one, you can now individually control the volume of UWP apps. However, this is access just like going to the volume mixer. However, the app will actually have to play sound before you can change the volume on it.
What?
So it's a little weird in that way.
Better, because they'll fix it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. It wouldn't shock me if they did that within next 2-3 builds, definitely before release at the very latest. But anyways, obviously, when you open any Win32 app, it's in the volume mixer immediately. Here, they'll have to play a sound. But also, apparently, you'll be able to change the volume individually for Edge tabs.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. And let's see. I don't think it says this in the changelogs, but I think it was Brandon LeBlanc who said this on Twitter. And let me just quickly scroll through and see if that was it. I remember saying something about it earlier. Yes. Yeah, Brad Sam says you can now control volume for each UWP app, and then Brandon LeBlanc says, and individual tabs from Edge, too. So that's going to be really nice.
I like that. That's pretty good.
That's an actual cool thing. Like, maybe I have I don't know why I'd have 2 tabs playing sound in Edge, to be honest, so I can't even think up an example.
That's kind of odd, but I mean, like, you could make a Skype call through through Outlook on the web.
Oh, okay. Then there's a scenario where you have that.
And then you could also play Groove music through the web. Now, this means, I was going to say, if you can't install any apps, boy, let's think about this. I'm trying to think of it.
Can't restrictive corporate policy.
Yeah, I can't really think of that example.
You can now get around your boss with this one trick.
This one
IT departments hate it. Click here to find out, and it
watch
links to
video
Windows
before
Update.
It's banned. Yeah. Okay.
But when you watch the video, you can turn down the volume on the tab in Edge, so he won't find you.
Or you can just turn it off entirely, or hit Control W to close that stupid tab. All right.
It's a build. And one other thing I do want to mention. This is a big thing. There's not only multiple flavors of Linux heading to Bash on Windows 10. Like previously, it was just Ubuntu. Now they're having SUSE Linux and Fedora Linux becoming available for the Windows subsystem for Linux,
which I was not even aware existed before today. So,
oh man, it's amazing. I've seen some of the things people have pulled off with it. It's great. They're also going to have those things available in the store to download. They showed off a screenshot, which still amazes me, where they have the store open and they go and download Ubuntu from the store. Which obviously it's just the subsystem. It's not obviously transforming Windows into Linux, but you can go to the Windows Store and download iTunes and Ubuntu.
That's a different operating system. You have a Windows machine, you go to the store, you download a different operating system.
And again, though, it's a little different, as it's not gonna dual boot or something. It's completely for running the console, but the stuff people have already pulled off with running these things from the console is crazy. I mean, I've seen people who have Linux desktop environments installed alongside Windows, and they have a Linux file explorer open in one window and regular Windows Notepad in the other. It's crazy what someone who wants to play around with this stuff can do.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, right. I mean, we live in exciting times for someone who cares about Windows or Microsoft in general, and this is probably the best build show in years, at the very least in terms of the stuff they have announced.
I think so too. But back to basically why they're calling it the Fall Creators Update is that a lot of this stuff is actually pretty creative or focusing for creatives. And
Yeah.
I guess, I mean,
I can confirm
see,
that a bunch of this was intended for Redstone 2.
yeah, correct. I mean, you know,
This is leftovers from Creators Update 1 that just didn't make the cut.
so one of those, for example, well, one that is we have not seen yet is the Groove Music Maker. We're still waiting for that. Although I can argue that story remix is actually, I mean, it's kind of in the same vein of that. Obviously, it's not just audio.
They did show off a similar user interface, maybe not too similar, but like I remember seeing some resemblances to other mock-ups when they showed it off, and you could just add music from Groove to the video, which that will. I wonder if they're going to have any songs available that won't require a music pass. That should be interesting to see.
No, I think that was the whole point, is that it was not branded stuff. It was more generic, like theme music. That was really, really interesting.
Wouldn't that be an interesting advertisement for Groove too? That, you know, like, hey, if you buy this pass for $10 a month, you can technically get the license to put this song in your video.
Maybe,
I mean, maybe
but
not
I
use
actually
commercially, but like
I actually don't think that legally they could do that. But I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Maybe they just have a limited catalog, but I mean, that could be a very interesting way to not only advertise but boost the platform.
I don't think they give two shakes of a lamb's tail about Groove at this point. But anyway, speaking of other things that should have come in the Creators Update, but are now expected to, planned to come in Fall Creators Update. One Clip. Well, except it's not called One Clip. One Clip was teased a while ago, and now it's coming as Clipboard. Most people should know what this is, but basically, if you copy something, a link, whatever, or portions of a file on your phone, whether it could be Android or iOS as well, and you go to your desktop and you could basically pull up One Clip or Clipboard, drop it in. It's a multi-device clipboard. I love this. This is something that we've needed for, well, forever, but basically ever since people started doing things on multiple devices. And of course, it works across your tablet, laptop, desktop, your Surface Studio, whatever. This is the whole point. And I love this. This is fantastic. I don't know what else to even say about it. It's awesome.
Yeah. This is all real cool stuff, and we can definitely recommend going to mspoweruser.com/events/build-2017, or you can be a normal person, open up mspoweruser.com, click Build 2017, click the little header link on the section, and check out all of our coverage of it, because there are some things we didn't have time to talk about here, and there's a lot. There's also stuff like the new timeline feature, which will be coming in the Fall Creators Update, and allow you to just go through all sorts of apps you've opened, apps and files specifically. Like, for example, they showed this being accessed through the Task View button, which presumably is just a placeholder until they figure out where they're going to go with this. And they would clicked a PowerPoint window that had a file open, and it would open PowerPoint and then open that file. Stuff like that. There's a lot you can look around. There was just so much to cover that we can't even fit it into our hour here.
I'm
go
actually
to the site and take a look around
I think it's worth going over the hour just a little bit to hit these last couple things, because there was a lot of good stuff. So
for sure.
So Windows Timeline, I think that's very, very, very good. It kind of incorporated cards in there, and I don't know if that's exactly. Did you catch that part of it? I mean, why cards were part of it? Basically, in Task Switcher, you had a better view of what those things were, as far as what you're switching between. I like that. Also,
actually,
go ahead.
Interesting enough, just to say that this actually might be the replacement for Task Switcher, as in this mock-up, at the very least, it shows a new desktop button in there. So I think I was wrong when I said that it's probably just a placeholder. No, that looks like it'll be the actual replacement for it, which makes me a little sad, as it thinks that's going to get kind of cramped. But
perhaps, but there's probably different views of it. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Also, similar to that, and I missed part of this again because I was dealing with my kids. Related to Windows Timeline was the OneDrive. Well, people compared it to placeholders, but the part I understood was that basically whatever you're working on, you're saving to what Joe Belfiore called your desktop. And then from there, you could access that file anywhere via OneDrive, from a different machine using OneDrive. Now, I really recommend people do not save stuff to their desktop, so that's a little bit odd, but I think that the spirit of it is certainly there, and it makes sense that you have stuff available to you right away. Windows Timeline, talks about what you've been doing recently, which of course, if you're working on something right now and you switch to another machine, you would pull up that recent thing. Makes sense. And so many people are comparing this to OneDrive placeholders coming back, and honestly, I don't know enough about this. Andy, do you have any? Can you fill the gaps here, or did you miss part of it too?
Return of placeholders. Placeholders. Oh my goodness, they had other terms for it. I need to look that up. I mean,
anyway, the spirit of this is back.
Yeah, it's called files on demand now, and it's OneDrive placeholders from Windows 8. Except now it's called Files on Demand. It's got a fancy icon that shows you if it's in the cloud or not. And yeah, it's coming with the Fall Creators Update. And yeah, this was one of the nicest things about Windows 8, I think, that you could just have all these files in your OneDrive. You could download them as you went. You didn't necessarily have to have all of them downloaded to your device. I mean, let me see how many things I've got in my OneDrive folder.
The argument, you can go ahead and look. The argument that Microsoft made was that all the thumbnails themselves took up a lot of space, depending on what people had in their OneDrive. And I do agree with that, because I have 170 something gigs of OneDrive storage, or what I've used up, and a lot of those are images, especially Windows Phone camera roll. And so if that were thumbnails of all that did download on, say, my Acer, I always forget the name of it, my little VivoTab Note 8 or whatever, that would really tie up the storage on there. Same thing with on my Surface 3.
An interesting thing about that is that they actually removed placeholders after they had announced unlimited OneDrive storage, and it was tied to that. And then of course we obviously don't have unlimited OneDrive storage anymore. It went back to the cap of 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I mean, their reason to get rid of them is kind of gone.
Yeah.
And also, I checked. I've got over 10 gigs of stuff in my Onedrive. There's no reason for me to have to download that every single time I set up a new device.
Correct. So, but that's still less than 10% of what I have in mind, and I don't have like a ton compared to some people. Those thumbnails can really add up, and so I do see the argument there. Anyway, another thing that was kind of interesting, just a small thing that Joe Belfiore demoed, was that you could scroll through. He did like a PDF modification, annotation on through Edge, which was good. I mean, I'm glad that that's there, but it's a little bit kind of old news. But he scrolled with the pen while annotating, or there's like a switch to change it. I actually don't agree with that. I mean, it's good that the option is there, but I never scroll with the pen. I wouldn't want to scroll with the pen. I would zoom in and out or scroll with my fingers, and then create with the pen. And even if it's the same hand. So this is a little bit odd, but it's worth mentioning, and some people really made a big deal about it. That's fine. If you like that thing, good. It's good.
Alrighty. Let's see.
Oh, and Skype. There's a Skype update. That's the last thing, and then we'll finish up. So there's a Skype update. Now, this had nothing to do with build or the Fall Creators update or the new Insider build or anything, but it's just the app itself that updated. And with the update, it said, basically, as I read it and shrieked with glee, that you could share audio while you're on a Skype call. I'm like, fantastic. Well, then I read it again. Oh, okay, so I share audio when I share screens. Okay, share desktop, that's fine. That's good. And then Andy and I tried it, and yeah, I can share the video. I can share my display, which has been able to do forever, but you cannot share the audio. For whatever reason, it was broke. Maybe Andy just didn't have a Skype app updated. I don't know.
Oh, it's up to date, believe me.
So this awesome feature, which I'm thrilled for, and it doesn't work. So something is wrong there, and I haven't really heard anyone complaining about it not working. Maybe I'm just doing something wrong. Anyway.
Or you're alternatively the only person trying it out.
Well, that is always possible. So, all right, I think that's about it. Folks, thanks for listening. Make sure to follow go to the website, MSPoweruser.com. We had awesome coverage of this. I Was really impressed with the people that actually did the work. I mostly just kind of followed along, and now I get to talk about it. Andy did. Actually, did you do? I think you were busy, Andy. Did you get to?
Yeah, I was too busy to handle some stuff because when they say, okay, we'll arrive between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. to make the delivery and have everything cleaned up and cleared out before then, it doesn't leave me with really too much to, get watching it on. I had to follow it on Twitter because, I had the house just almost completely cleared out in some rooms because obviously when you're hauling in a couch, you need the room for it. So,
but our senior editors did a fantastic job covering this. A lot of great
sure.
information there. Just check it out. You can follow MSPoweruser on Twitter at MSPoweruser. You can follow me on Twitter at VernonEL, and Andy is still Fusion Fan 45, right? You're gonna stick with that for a while?
I'll be that until I die. I think I'm cursed.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it, everyone. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic week, and we will catch you next time.
Yep.
Bye.